Hi. Well, first of all, thank you all for spending your Saturday with us. I really appreciate you coming, and I'm excited to tell you more about the show, introduce you to Jeff Lee, and have her tell you more about individual works that she'll select. I've known Jeff Lee Gabriela Molina for almost 9 years now, and I've been following the trajectory of her work for quite some time and have kind of seen her mature as an artist. And within the last few years, she's been developing this body of work that deals a lot with her personal experience of migration coming from Venezuela to Miami and then eventually Chicago, which she now calls home. And her work deals a lot with her personal memories of home and kind of combining those with the memories she's creating currently in Chicago. And that really resonated with me, having also migrated to the US. And we just had a lot of conversations about how, although we have similar themes and topics that we both touched upon in our experience, everyone has such a unique migration experience. And then we decided to work together on this exhibition and kind of shift gears a bit to focus less on Jeff Lee's personal experience and open it up to include families of recent migrants that had arrived in Chicago that she met and interviewed and developed these beautiful relationships with. And it's like it is such a unique body of work because it really touches on the nostalgia and the hope, and it's much more like future thinking and wanting to inspire people and create a space where people can just feel a sense of community, especially in Houston, where 25% of the population is foreign born. So it's themes that I think really touch a lot. It just creates a space of empathy. And I think people, when seeing these works, it really resonates with them, and you can kind of see your own experience or your own emotions around it. And so I will hand it over to Jeff Lee so that she can tell us a bit more about the paintings.
Thank you, Pedro. Y gracias a todos. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And so, yes, this body of work. I would like to start with the oldest piece in this room, which is that painting, which is also happens to be a self-portrait. And I did, I believe, in 2022, 2023, when I finally got my green card. And at the same time as I get my green card, and for the first time, I feel this sense of agency that I can work anywhere, that I can feel less vulnerable. Um, a lot was going on in this country that it still felt, still made me feel that my sense of home could still remain something fragile and precarious. So let me go back a little bit to 2018 because mi familia está aquí. My family is here. They moved from Venezuela to home. I came here when I was 17, so I came here in 2007. When my family came here, something happened, which is that sentiment, that feeling that made me want to become an artist, which was trying to make sense of the world, trying to make sense of personal experience through my art, that came back. Because through school, sometimes we are asked to intellectualize the work. We are asked to get out of our comfort zone. We ask to make work that is conceptually relevant. And that sometimes chisels away from the thing that made you want to be an artist in the first place. And for me, what makes me want to be an artist in the first place was to express the feelings that the world inspired in me, express the way that the world affected me. So that came back with my family because my family, in addition to coming themselves with their little dog and their vulnerabilities, they came with a suitcase filled with nostalgia. Nostalgia for a country I had in some ways forced myself to not think about much. So I started making work about them, about their experience, about a home that I no longer remember as it is, because that's what nostalgia does. It makes things shine a little bit more. It makes things a little bit more beautiful than they really were or even are. From that body of work, I moved into a little bit more about the present. At that same time, I met the husband that I now have. And with my parents trying to make a home of this country, of that community in Chicago, I began a series called Homemade Sculptures, which are, why a sculpture? Why do I call it that? Because it is an object that you arrange to honor a space. You don't make a bouquet to just make a bouquet. You make a bouquet in your home because you are honoring that you have that space to call home. So in that very sense, that is a sculpture. That's what a sculpture is. And then the glass of water was born during the pandemic, which is a ritual practice in the family homes where I grew up, usually by the women in my family. And it is a form of prayer. It's a glass of water for the souls in purgatory. I tell my family that maybe we are drawn to the souls in purgatory because we might be a little mischievous ourselves, that we don't pray to the saints, we pray to the souls in purgatory. But I thought that that was also another thing that made that space that I was living in with my parents a home. So with my family coming here, I recovered that. I recovered that sense of home, and I was trying to make that for them, create that illusion for them. They moved from Chicago to Houston, and we separated. We used to live in this small apartment all together, my husband, my parents, the dog. And when they left, something happened to this country, which is the migrant crisis, right? Like, we had a lot of people coming to cities like Chicago. I don't know how Houston was, but Chicago was, for the first time, I saw kids with mothers on corners. The shelters were overwhelmed. I wanted to know about their experience. Why had they chosen this country? Where were they coming from? I learned so much from those stories. People do not wake up and think, I'm gonna go to the United States because that's the American dream. A lot of these migrants have lived, in fact, in other nations before they chose to come to the United States. We lived in violent times, not just in the news. We live in violent times in a lot of places. The fact that it hasn't knocked on our door, it doesn't mean that it isn't there. And learning these stories was very enriching for me because it enlarged the picture that I had of my own personal experience of coming here from Venezuela. Because I'm an artist, a dictatorship was already falling into place. There was very little opportunity for me to do what I love there. So I began interviewing the migrants in Chicago, and that's how the rest of this body of work happened. From personal experience, from working from personal stories of my family having migrated here, to working with families. I didn't care if they were Venezuelan, Colombian, from Haiti. I only care that they share the experience of migration. And each story was very unique. Each story was very human. There is so much that we do not know about that experience. And it was inspiring to me. A lot of what I focus on in the interview is about asking, what do you want? What do you dream about? And the answer, more often than not, is that same thing that I wanted to build for my family. It's that same thing I had been looking for, a sense of home. A place where you feel safe, where you feel protected, where your loved ones feel safe, protected, a chance at prosperity, a chance at making life have meaning. And that is the answer that I got repeatedly. This series here is focused on two families, Carolina's family and Jefferson's. That, which is maybe the most surreal artwork that I included here. I like to tell people I'm heavily inspired by magical realism. Carolina is from Colombia. My favorite author, hands down, is Garcia Marquez. So the braid, framing the reality that she is working to create for her two daughters. That's what it means. That's why I added that detail. Things like the pig, the yuca, I don't know how it is called in English, the glass of water, all of these symbols are dealing with either her past, her present, or her hope for the future. This is Jefferson and his son. I didn't mean for him to be photographed like this. When I asked, can I take your photo? Leo, his son, started crying in the studio. So he lifted Leo up and he was just calming Leo down. And I asked, may I take your photo now? And he's like, and I took it and I thought it was so moving. This is what I want to express, the dignity of these people and their humanity, the fact that we share the same things. I mean, I want to know who here likes to have a home, loving home. Please raise your hand. Who here likes to feel protected, safe? Who here loves their parents or their children? So this is what this work is about. It's just that. And now I would like to open it up for questions, or if there is anything else that
I think that was beautiful.
Yeah. Any questions, anybody? Yes. 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 So thinking about their journey here and all the challenges that they may have encountered through that journey. By the way, it's crazy, but a lot of these people walk here. Like literally walk from Ecuador, from Chile, from Peru, from Venezuela. It's not that they never take the bus. They also take the bus, they jump on the train, roofs. I mean, but mostly they walk. And thinking about their exposure to the elements. And our idea of the sky as something sacred, right? As heaven. And how the sky, when it's a blue sky, that can just make life a little easier. This is true for migrants who are walking, and this is true for us in our very nice apartments and homes when we're having a not so great day, but the sky is blue and we can go outside and it's beautiful. That is just, that might just be enough for us to feel a little better. With migrants, it doesn't matter if it rains, if it's a great day or a beautiful day. And I mean that literally, and I mean that figuratively. Doesn't matter if they are not feeling capable of continuing with their journey that day. For them, the sky is full of ideals. And that's what is written on the side, a sky full of ideals. That is what makes them do one step after another step after another step. That's what keeps them going. So that's why I wanted to make the two skies, because when you are in a situation like that where you can just keep going, there's no going back. You're holding on to something that is greater than any physical reality. You're holding on to something as close to faith. So that's why I wanted this show to have the skies, the homemade sculptures, the sea, and yeah. Any other questions? Yes. There's a lot of yellow and gold, like gold stones. I love it. But it reminds me a little bit of the like religious icons. Significance behind that. Not really, but when it comes to Carolina, I asked her when she said, I want a home, and I wanted to begin to materialize in this dream. So I said, okay, tell me what color is going to be your home. And she said, yellow. Yellow. And I'm like, a yellow home, Carolina? Yellow. Yellow and pink. And I'm like, okay. Well, so that was an introduction to. So when she said that, I decided that yellow was going to be a predominant color in the series, because in my way this is the first step to materializing those dreams. So yeah. Any other question? No. Otra pregunta también, sí. What's the significance of using words as marketing techniques? So that series is called Sea of Sorrow, Mar de Pena, Sea of Hope, Mar de Esperanza. So Sea of Sorrow, which is the one that is made with the words, and the words are literally Sea of Sorrow. And this was a meditation last year. Wars, again, we live in very violent times. And as artists, we have all this quiet. I'm not gonna say all this time because we are very busy people. Those who think that artists, oh, you are there painting. No, we are just like there painting, like you know. But all of this time to meditate and observe the world allows us to uh, feel and feel. I, for instance, feel this guilt sometimes. I am making these images. I don't know. Should I be going try to save some of these people? Like what can we do, right? So I felt overwhelmed by this feeling of sorrow that is felt right now by so many people, refugees, people who are suffering the wars that are raging, Gaza, Ukraine, what happened in Israel too. So all of this violence, what happens in Venezuela every day. So I felt that I needed to give that an image. And I created this work that was 5 days of me writing Sea of Sorrow until the image had enough depth that it conveyed a sea. So, yeah. I am open to any more